Hello, and thank you for taking the time to watch this short video. My name is Mr. Boff, and I lead reading and literacy across school. In this video, I want to introduce our new Reading Routes initiative and explain how these reading routes fit into our wider approach to reading for pleasure at St. George's. Our overall aim here is very simple: to build confident, curious readers who read not just because they have to, but because they want to. Now, we know from a significant body of research that regular reading plays a crucial role in young people's academic development. Reading improves vocabulary, it improves comprehension, writing, confidence across all subjects, not just English. However, enjoyment is really key. Students who enjoy reading are, understandably, far more likely to read regularly, and it's this regular reading that brings the greatest long-term benefit. So our Reading Routes initiative is designed to help guide students towards high-quality, engaging texts that will support this entire process. Our aim across school from year 7 all the way through to year 11 is to develop that genuine love of reading. So we want students, as I've said, to read regularly, read widely, and grow in confidence. Programs like Reading Plus, which we use across years 7 through to 9, have been hugely successful in supporting reading fluency and comprehension. And of course, this remains an absolutely vital part of our reading provision at St. George's. But alongside this, we want students to begin taking greater ownership of their reading, choosing books, exploring a range of genres, and developing personal reading habits. Reading routes, then, are guided pathways through different literary genres. Each route is made up of a carefully selected sequence of books that gradually increase in challenge and in complexity. Routes, then, are designed to support students who want guidance in choosing what to read, while also encouraging a sense of progression and developing reading stamina. Each route finishes with a well-known and significant text within that individual genre, giving students who get to the very end a great sense of achievement. And here you can see an example of just one of our reading routes, the reading route focusing on dystopian literature. Now, what's important to note is that routes usually begin, almost entirely begin, with very accessible but high interest texts. And then, as you can see, it moves towards a more demanding novel, ending with what we might think of as a sort of canonical example of that genre. So, in this case, 1984 by George Orwell. The structure helps students build their confidence as readers, but it also helps them get to grips and build a sense of familiarity with a genre and genre expectations before they can tackle that more challenging material that is at the very end. Here's another for science fiction. Of course, feel free to pause the video. You can see what I've done as well is spent time trying to give students a little snapshot of what each text is all about, to draw them in, to get them interested, so that they might, for example, get to the stage where once they're really confident with, say, the expectations, the genre expectations of science fiction, that they can get to a stage where they've read Dune by Frank Herbert. Now, across year 7 through to year 11, so Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4, we currently offer reading routes in 6 broad genres: dystopian literature, science fiction, adventure and survival, fantasy, what we're terming realistic fiction, and then classics and famous literary novels. Now, together, these 6 routes expose students to a very wide range of voices, ideas, literary traditions, and they really help build cultural capital and understanding and reading confidence. But, as it says here, choice still matters. It's very important to emphasize this point. Reading routes are there to guide reading they are not there to limit it. Students are not required to follow a single route and stay on just one pathway. They can follow a route, they can move between different reading routes, or, of course, they can read books entirely outside the routes. Choice is still central. It's at the heart of our reading approach at St. George's because choice is essential to enjoyment and long term reading habits. So we've got what I'm calling three pillars when it comes to reading for pleasure. It's built on these three connected pillars. And the first is, as I've mentioned, reading routes, which give that guided choice and sense of progression. The second is independent reading for pleasure, where all reading is valued. And this includes students rereading their favourite texts, which can be very nourishing and kind of comforting, reading series fiction, but also reading non-fiction. The third and final pillar is library engagement and our broader reading culture in school. Our school library is the heart of this. It's central to this work. And so we're going to be doing a lot of work. I'm going to be doing a lot of work around encouraging regular library borrowing, exploring all sorts of different texts that we have in the library, and really pushing and promoting that enthusiasm for reading and for books. So, together, these three pillars will hopefully ensure reading is structured for our students. Reading feels flexible, they've got a sense of ownership, but, and the clue's in the name, reading for pleasure, that reading is for students a genuinely enjoyable and rewarding activity. Now, reading at St. George's is recognised and it's celebrated. I think that's very important. So students can earn certificates, they're going to receive public recognition within school, and there'll be lots of opportunities to take part in celebrations of reading achievements, particularly through our morning meeting structure. And importantly, to come back to this, all reading counts, whether it takes place within a reading route or outside of it. My focus and our focus as a school is on effort, consistency, and engagement rather than racing through lots of books. Now, how can we log all of this? How can we record all of this? So, what's going to happen is that when students read, students will log books that they've genuinely read, and they're going to be using a very simple online form. As part of this process, they briefly reflect on something that stood out to them from the book, whether it's fiction or non-fiction. It's not a test, the questions aren't testing them. It simply will help us celebrate real reading, to track progress through reading routes and through other books too, and make meaningful recommendations to students. So if there is a particular book that seems very popular, that lots of students are reading and enjoying, that's something that we can celebrate and draw student attention to. Now, if you scan the QR code on this slide, it will take you through to the set of questions. It'll take you through to the Google form, and you can see what sorts of questions students will be responding to. Now, parents and carers, so everyone that I'm addressing in this video, you can play a vital role in supporting reading at home. And this is really a set of simple actions. Actions like encouraging regular reading time, talking at home about books that you've all enjoyed, and celebrating your child's progress, not just completion of books, but thinking about how have they really enjoyed and engaged with a specific text, whether fiction or non-fiction. We're not asking you to become an expert on books or an expert on improving teenage literacy. We're just asking for you to work with us, to promote that interest and to give lots of encouragement, because that's ultimately what matters most. Every student, I believe, can become an avid reader. So in that sense, every reader matters and every single book that they read matters. We know from countless years of research that reading builds understanding, it builds empathy and compassion, it builds ambition, it builds intellectual confidence. And so at St. George's, I'm committed, and we as a school are committed to building the strongest possible culture of reading and curiosity. And we I personally really value your support in helping us do this. So, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video and, of course, for supporting Reading at Home. If you have any questions about reading routes or reading for pleasure or want specific book recommendations beyond the reading routes, anything reading related, please don't hesitate to contact school and I'll get in touch. So, as I've just said, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to working with you all in promoting this reading culture at our school.